What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV back here with another Tottenham update. We're into the second half of December now. Thursday, 16th of December, as the weeks and the days draw closer to the January transfer window. And we've got quite an extensive Tottenham update to bring to you. First up, the news from David Ornstein today that Tottenham are in advanced talks to name Manchester City's executive Rafi Mawson as head of football operations. Deal set to be done for highly rated City Football Group director of football transactions to join Tottenham from Manchester City in a prominent role, which I find quite interesting, to be honest. Look, never heard of him before today, to be honest with you, but
the last guy we got from the City group didn't last long.
No, he didn't, to be fair. But he wasn't from Man City. He wasn't working directly with Man City. But it says in 10 years with the City Football Group, Mawson has risen up the ranks and is highly regarded. His role sees him negotiate player contracts, while he also stepped up to support the director of football with negotiations as well. So obviously with Daniel Levy leaving, at some point during the season, then someone needs to take up that role, doesn't he, in terms of the negotiations of it all.
Yeah, and that was the big question. Who was it going to be? We were theorising, is it Vinay? Is it, Charrington? Who's going to be the ones actually negotiating the transfers? Because Levy was obviously in charge of all of that. He was all the nitty-gritty. We all know how the long, drawn-out negotiations always used to go with Daniel Levy, literally poring over every single little detail. So it looks like this guy, Rafi, is going to be the one. So hopefully, hopefully he's got good relationships with people. Hopefully he can get deals over the line, which is positive. I
think when you look at the way Man City conduct their transfers, they're not one to overpay, really, as much as the narrative is, they just spend their way out of trouble. It's not really the case. They spend when they need to spend, but if a club's valuation is too high, they don't go and in search for it. They kind of stick to their valuation, don't they?
Yeah, they've walked away with a lot of deals.
Yeah.
The ones that spring to mind: Alexis Sanchez, Harry Maguire, and probably on the face of it, good deals to walk away from. So what City usually do, I know they have spent big money on Grealish, 100 million, but usually it's a lot of players for a good amount of money rather than massive signings. That's how they built their first team that went, Silva, Aguero, all for decent money, but were not massive fees. Even Haaland, he was 50 million, but I think they pay him massively in signing on fees and whatever. So hopefully he understands good fair market value. He understands what we should be paying for certain players, and hopefully he can kind of get better value than Daniel Levy. And hopefully as well, he'll recognise when we need to get this player over the line and we need to go for it, maybe even push the ball out a bit. He can say, I think we need to in this instance. So I think we needed someone like him through the door to handle negotiations, like a proper negotiator, specialist, because Daniel Levy, that was something that he was obviously a specialist in.
Yeah, he that's where he made his name as a specialist, but then it kind of just rubbed too many people up the wrong way. And, it ended up, what the narrative was, that a lot of clubs didn't want to deal with us. So maybe that changes it now.
Yeah, hopefully. But at the end of the day, he was the one who did all our negotiating. So I think we needed someone to step in who has history in that and experience in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Tom Allnut has been reporting on the January transfer plans for Tottenham, and he says Thomas Frank is believed to want players in the January who are experienced, which does not necessarily mean older, but who will improve his starting lineup. And Spurs are keen to sell Yves Bissouma in January, but it's believed that other fringe players could also be moved on. So by the first name that springs to mind there is Brennan Johnson, isn't it?
Yeah, because he's not getting a look in, and he's been linked to Crystal Palace and potentially other clubs, and I think we can get a decent fee for him. So it makes sense. The player's easily upgradable. Obviously, we know Bissouma not in the plans. He's out the door, or whatever happens with him, he's not going to be playing. But in terms of players, they're saying experience, not necessarily older, but experienced, which is obviously stuff we heard in the summer as well. So they're looking to go more in that direction. Hopefully leaning towards getting players in that can start for us, but also allow Bergvall Gray, Tao Odebear potentially not in the limelight as much, not so much focus on them maybe, and give them more time to develop, because is there a feeling, are they ready to be starting week in, week out for the level that we want? There's obviously a conversation to be had, so that's fine. I think all Tottenham fans will get on board with that, because at the end of the day, I love these young players that we got. I think they're really talented, and they do need time to develop. But it is a big ask to have them playing regularly to a level that we need them to be. Not to say they're bad players or they're not playing at a good level for what they are, which is teenagers or very young players. But if we're looking to compete, top 6, top 5, maybe even beyond that in the future. You need players just ready to be at that level now, and it's hard to expect that from them, or expect it consistently, put it that way.
Yeah.
And that's the problem.
I think like it's no departure really from what our transfer targets were in the summer. That's what we went for. We went for experienced players that can hit the ground running, players that can come in and be part of the first team, like Javi, like Kudus, like João Palhinha, Randall Kolo Muani, like this kind of caliber of player. And I think that's what we got to carry on with. Like, obviously, we all know the summer before that was completely different. The summer before that was those kind of just up and coming players, and that's probably where Ange really fell short in the season, because you got this major injury crisis and you got to lean on these kind of teenagers to compete in the first team, and Archie Gray at centre back, Lucas Bergvall became one of our most important players, and it was mainly because of the transfer window that we had.
Yeah. And it left us well short. You're relying on not only of the teenage inexperience in the Premier League, but they're just inexperienced in football in general.
Yeah.
Bergvall's had, a year or 2 years in professional football. Gray's had 1 year in the Championship, and that was all they've had at top level. So, yeah, I think it was always going to be difficult to rely on them to play consistently. Yeah. And they're tired and on top of everything and all that kind of stuff. So it was definitely where we were left short.
Mm. Next up, Court Offside have drawn up a manager shortlist for us.
Thanks, Court Offside. We needed that.
They say that Maurizio Pochettino, Oliver Glasner and Marco Silva have all been shortlisted by Tottenham as potential successors for Thomas Frank should they opt to move on from the Danish head coach. I mean, I think it's just a bit of lazy journalism, to be honest. I think it's very obvious. I mean, Marco Silva was linked with us when we were bringing in Thomas Frank. Oliver Glasner was linked with us as well. But also there's been a separate report today on Oli Glasner that he's not going to be signing another contract at the end of this season, where his contract runs out. And Pochettino is a name that's always going to get thrown into the ring until he rejoins, to be honest, because of the way it ended at Spurs. So I don't take too much notice of it, but...
That's the name on everyone's lips, isn't it? Pochettino, though.
Yeah. And Glasner.
Glasner as well, but in terms of Poch, a lot of people saying, if it is Poch, do we just have to wait out of Frank and then assess at the end of the season, wait till after the World Cup and then go serious? Because Poch keeps signalling that he wants to come back to the Premier League. He keeps signalling unfinished business with Tottenham. I think he would jump at the chance. I would like to think, unless for some reason he's convinced to stay on at USA, but I don't think he would.
No.
So if that Tottenham job is available, I think he would put his hat in the ring immediately.
Yeah.
So is it a case of, if he's really the guy, we just have to ride out of Frank, or interim and wait for him, or do we have to start looking right now for a replacement for Frank, for someone long term, if he's not the guy?
Yeah, I think I think they should just give Frank the opportunity to turn it around. They should give him till the end of the season. Look, if we're embroiled in a relegation battle, then that's when it gets too far, and you probably got to cut your losses and move on. But I think you just got to kind of ride it out this season and just see where it takes us. And if you can't turn it around, then you've got a manager waiting right there that loves the club and that's kind of tried and tested. And and I think Poch would love working with the squad that we've got now. Young up and coming squad with some talent there as well. With hopefully Enix 2.0 that will back him as well. So yeah, I think it'll be a look. There's been like contrasting fan opinion on Pochettino, though, isn't there? A lot of fans are being like, yeah, bring him back, he's the right man for the job. But then on the other hand, people are saying, well, he's failed everywhere else he's gone. His career hasn't gone in the trajectory which you might have thought after he left Tottenham. And some are even saying that his tactic could be a bit outdated even now for the Premier League.
Yeah, I think there is definitely a case to be said for all those things, to be honest, because when he brought it into the Premier League, basically his real high
revolutionised
pressing, it was, and I know, and it obviously nearly won us the league at some points, and it was brilliant. But since then, everyone is now high pressing. Every team in the league has adopted those kind of tactics, and in fact, it's even gone beyond that, where now teams are hybrid high pressing. It's all different stuff. So I don't know how much Poch has adapted to that or not. All I know is when he was last at Chelsea, he did take them from 12th to 6th, and obviously he got sacked at the end of that season. Some people say it's because of differences with the board and whatnot, but I don't know if that spell at Chelsea suggested he can't manage at this level. I think there's definitely question marks, but was it a definitive, look how they did at Chelsea, was terrible? It was on the upturn. So
Yeah.
I think there is something to suggest, give another opportunity. And also I think there is something to suggest, can this fan base ever move on until he gets another crack at the whip?
Yeah, I know.
I think that's kind of the case, isn't it? We're just never going to stop talking about him unless he gets that chance. And maybe we'll never know until he does get that chance.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, would he be your number one choice at the end of the season? Let's say it doesn't work out with Frank.
At the end of the season, I'd love to see him get another go, to be honest.
So he would be your number one choice.
Probably, yeah. Probably. I don't think it's a very imaginative choice. I would like to see us have a bit more creativity, so maybe I have to do a bit more research, because it's just like the obvious, he did well before Spurs attacking football, he can do it. But I also would just love to see him get another crack at the whip.
The thing is,
I think if he succeeded, it would be amazing.
We all go on about how, attacking football is great under Poch, which it was, but not many people talk about Poch being how good our defence was. And I know we had top caliber players there with Toby Alderweireld and Jan Vertonghen and stuff, but we've seen we've got Van der Ven and Romero, but we still can't keep the back door shut, you know what I mean? So, we had the best defence statistically over the 2-year period. So it just shows that he can manage the both together.
Which is, when you think about this, Arteta's sides have been known for being amazing defensively. He hasn't yet conceded less goals than that Poch team.
Yeah, which is crazy.
Which and everyone's known. No one would say Gabriel and Saliba are better, worse than Toby and Jan. But anyway, onto that, he never did it coaching a low block or anything. He always did it suffocating the opposition and basically not giving them any time to breathe, always being high pressing. And that's kind of how he got the best defensive record. It wasn't because he was a great defensive mind, it was because he basically just kept the opposition away from our goal for most of that and controlled the game. Now, it's more difficult to do that. Obviously, his hand just found out and stuff like that. So we'll have to wait and see how he would adjust.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about some players now, as the first player that we are going to talk about is Pablo Barrios of AC Milan. Atletico Madrid. Sorry, Villajes, obviously our favourite publication. Villajes says that Tottenham have submitted a £70 million bid for Atletico Madrid midfielder Pablo Barrios. Spurs have got a real problem in midfield right now with their central midfielders unable to pass the ball forward and have identified Barrios as the solution.
I just love a newspaper saying, they can't pass forward. They're just unable. They're playing in the Premier League, but they've never seen a forward pass in their life, these guys. So I do think we do have an issue there. Don't get me wrong. I don't think the midfielders are just completely incapable of passing the ball forward, but there definitely is an issue. We don't have a midfielder who can set the tempo, who's a really good technician on the ball, that kind of stuff. So I definitely think we need that. Is Pablo Barrios the answer? I don't know. What kind of is he? That kind of midfielder? I guess. High volume passer, a really good technician. I'm just looking at some of his passing stats. It was pretty decent progressive passes. Well, we know that Atletico are not like the most possession-based team, but they're obviously quite an attacking team. Maybe he is the guy. I don't know. I have to look further into him, Pablo Barrios. I know he's a good player, but I don't know if he's the answer.
I'm pretty sure he's a player that we've been linked with in the past. He's still a young player. Look, 22 years of age. He's got a market value already of 60 million euros. Look, I don't know too much about him, but those metrics that you're looking at look quite decent.
The passing metrics seem pretty good, to be honest. Progressive passes.
Spanish central midfielder, would you expect?
I need we could do with the Spanish central midfielder, to be fair.
Next up, we're going to talk about Kobbie Mainoo, as we know. The Telegraph are reporting that Napoli and 10 clubs in the Premier League are interested in signing Kobbie Mainoo, but senior figures at Manchester United are uneasy about him leaving. I mean, I think Kobbie Mainoo should be getting a lot more minutes to what he's getting at Manchester United this year. We all saw last night at Old Trafford, his brother was there in a free Kobbie Mainoo t-shirt. So that shows you probably where his thoughts and his family's thoughts are at. Look, I've said it on a number of occasions. I'd love to see Kobbie Mainoo at Spurs. I think he's such a good player.
Yeah, and I think we could utilise him a lot better. I think he's obviously he's not kicked on since he broke into the team. You could argue it's no fault of his own. Maybe he should be trusted more. Unfortunately, it just hasn't happened. I do think the formation at United, that 4-3-4-3, doesn't really help him because it means that he has to do a lot more running. Is he that kind of player? I think it would definitely increase our technical ability on the ball with him in the team. So I would love to give him a go. 6-month loan with an option to buy. Maybe there's some deal to be had.
Yeah, look, I think you'd want him in the 8 position, Kobbie Mainoo, and I think if you're comparing him to Pape Sarr, I don't know. I think I would take the punt on him over Pape Sarr.
Well, he's much better on the ball technically, much more comfortable.
Yeah.
I think Sarr maybe has a bit of a better engine than him.
Yeah.
But I think Mainoo is very comfortable, like turning on the half turn, playing forward technically. So yeah, I think we need that kind of midfielder. Someone who just needs to play together.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Another player that Spurs have been linked with, not again, but this one from just as reliable Team Talk. They're saying that Tottenham, Man United and Chelsea are tracking Lens midfielder Mamadou Sangare. The 23-year-old has been closely monitored by scouts across Europe this season, with several Premier League clubs believing his blend of technical quality and physical strength would suit the demands of English football.
Well, I know Lens are doing well. Seems to be a bit of a defensive midfielder. Is he? Or is he in a... Yeah, I don't know. All I know is the Lions are doing well, and maybe he has something to do with it.
That's great analytical insights then there.
Seems to be a defensive midfielder.
I think he's a hybrid. I think he could do both
Number
roles,
8.
to be honest.
Doesn't seem to be like a real passer. Seems to be more of a ball carrier, good dribbler. Like, makes a lot of tackles. I don't know if we need a high-volume tackler.
Yeah, he's a box-to-box midfielder. That's what he is. So...
Don't know if we need one of those, to be honest.
It depends if they're looking to upgrade on what we got. Like, are they looking to upgrade on Pape? Are they looking to bring... he's not even more experienced. He's 23 years of age. So, but he is starting week in, week out in the French league in a team that are doing very well. So, yeah, he probably is more experienced than likes of Archie Gray and Lucas Bergvall. So I'm not sure. I don't know too much about him, but it's interesting that, he's been linked to the likes of Manchester United and Chelsea. I don't know. Well,
he'll probably go to Brighton.
If he goes to Brighton, then he's probably a good player to pick
you're
up.
Probably right about that. Yeah.
So that's Mamadou Sangare. There's been reports on Mickey van de Ven as well as Noticias, publication in Spain, are saying that Real Madrid are again looking at Tottenham's Mickey van de Ven, and they believe they could snap him up around 50 million euros if the player agitated for a move.
That's like less than what we signed him for.
Yeah, we signed him for 35.
£35 million. That's like the same price.
Not too different, yeah.
It's like nonsense. What was that? £45 million. We're never going to sell him for that.
Yeah,
not
it's
in
madness.
A million years.
I know.
Like, it's not even half what he's worth. What do they think? He could kick up a fuss all he wants. He ain't going for 50 million. Yeah. No chance. Absolutely no chance. He can refuse to play. He can put in bomb threats to the training ground. He ain't getting 50 million. He ain't.
100%. Like, whatever this report is, I don't know what they're smoking, to be honest. But yeah, look, Mickey done an interview on the Overlap. When I first saw it, I thought, oh God, here we go again. But look, we'll get into it in another video on what was said. But last but not least, a couple of reports here about Yang Min-hyuk. First of all, Fijajes.
Come on, Fijajes.
This is how reliable
Tier
they are.
one.
This is how reliable they are. They say Real Madrid are targeting a move for Yang Min-hyuk as a €7 million move is being planned. The 19-year-old winger is owned by Tottenham and currently plays for Portsmouth on loan, and a sale could be on the cards if the conditions are met.
I've heard if they fail in that move, they're going to go for Dane Scarlett.
However, Han Jun, Korean journalist, has said that a Real Madrid move is highly unlikely, despite the recent headlines from Fijajes. But a January loan change is very much on for Yang Min-hyuk. Championship option, loan to a stronger, higher ranked side. A European option, Bundesliga and League One clubs are monitoring. Spurs' option is an early recall if the squad needs a rise. This isn't about hype, it's about the right environment. January could define his next step. I mean, to get him out of Portsmouth and get him somewhere playing regularly, I wouldn't be against. But look, the reality is...
You open to a bid from Madrid?
The reality is that if he can't get into Portsmouth squad, they're struggling in the Championship, like, where he's not going to be playing regularly, surely, in the Bundesliga or French. I don't know. Like, what is the best thing?
If they're interested and they think they got a place for him, I think it could aid his development, because I think the Bundesliga is a very open league, a lot of space. Sometimes I've heard players say sometimes players are more suited to higher levels than kind of lower levels, because sometimes the lower level they rely much more on physicality and bullying and those little kind of intangibles that are hard to deal with when you're a certain type of player, but sometimes you go to a higher league when players are more on your level, passing and moving, and look for you more and can find you in space. You could maybe up your level. So maybe a Bundesliga move wouldn't hurt, but it's whether there is a Bundesliga team who's willing to take a punt and actually start him regularly. I think Ligue 1 maybe not, because I think it's more physical. It's actually a really physical league, and I don't know if he would be able to hack it. I think maybe Bundesliga, where he's such a fast, nippy player, there's always space to run into, might be more suited to him.
It's interesting. So Mickey van der Ven in that interview said the Bundesliga is a highly physical league.
I'm not saying it's not physical. I'm saying Ligue 1 is more physical. But it is a physical league. All top leagues are physical these days. But I'd like to think I think in terms of how they play in the Bundesliga, such like wide open spaces. You watch their games, everyone's pressing, counter pressing, and everyone leaves space in behind. So I think that could suit him. But I don't know if he. Yeah, there are question marks if he's good enough to be at that level, because he hasn't really done it for Portsmouth.
Yeah, there was like a small little period where we thought, you know what, he's kicking on now, but ever since then he hasn't kicked on at all. So
definitely suited to Madrid, though. I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Him and Mbappe. I think
he's going to be the heir to Vinicius' throne.
Exactly. Rodrigo plus 50 million for Yang. I think maybe that'll get him.
I'm saying no to that.
You're saying no. You're rejecting it.
All right. Well, that is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comment section below all the thoughts you have. Do you think Min-hyuk can make it at Real Madrid? Let me know in the comment section below. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.